This is Draco, and I want to play another Modern League, so let's go through it today. We had a great success with getting that trophy from last time, and we're taking the same deck for a spin again. So I'm looking forward to going through all the matches today. It was crazy. We had a lot of interesting brews we were playing against, so I'm looking forward to going through that. And also we were up against one of the potential best decks in the format at the moment. That's of course the Murktide Regent deck. So we're gonna try to see if we can fight the dragons. Before we get started, I want to show you something, a little cool thing. I got my prizes in from the tournament in Aalborg. We got, you can see here, first of all, Merfolk Joe said I needed to play Modern League and I need to do it with a bit of flair. So I want to get my Strongholds playset of Modern Leagues. It's really nice. And also this Bad Boy Subtlety. What a great card. I gotta say, one of the MVPs of the tournament for me at Aalborg. And I like this art. Actually, it looks like it's fully customized. Really, really nice art. And then I also got myself a Flutterstrand. And no, it's not because I'm going to play a Sorius Merfolk here. It's just a really good card to have another fetch land. So that's pretty cool. For the deck itself, as I said, not much have changed, and I actually think when looking at the list at the moment, if I get some positive feedback on people wanting to try the 8Cs list, and I'm also really satisfied with how we're going about it. So one of the things I've been analyzing a bit is that this deck list is really tight when we're playing the 60 cards, not the 80 cards, and we are playing double lords and double seize effects, which means that we have already 16 slots locked down. Also, the Ether Vials are of course also necessary for the deck, or just really great. We have the here the 8 Lords, and also of course Tricksters. What an amazing card! You just need interaction and tempo, and this is what it provides us. It's also so strong against Urza's Saga because you can take off the construct tokens. You can tap down pesky blockers. You can get a Dragon Rich Channeler to be a 1/1 on the ground and block it. What a great card. And of course Added, which is one of the best early game plays we have. Just what is often just a 3/2 unblockable for 2 mana that also is replace itself. Yeah, I like that card. Spheroon, of course, amazing. So the flex slots we have is these 6 slots when you're playing this list. Of course, some could argue that you can go down a land. But some are playing 4 Glasspool Mimics, and then you of course maybe have a bit more to work with. But I just say here, we have 2 Otavaras that I want to cast sometimes as spells. We have 3 Glasspool Mimics that I also really want to use to copy Lords to have multiple Lord effects, or to copy Tricksters, tap things down, or something like that. So it's a really tight list, but I can see definitely these 6 cards being changed around. Right now I like the Dismembers, and they're also performing well in this tournament, on this Modern League here. But let's get into the gameplay. So this was actually immediately after the trophy. We want to get back into things right away. And we had a pretty crazy game, first opponent here. And I think right now, because the meta is up in the air on many fronts, a lot of people are brewing and a lot of people are playing different types of decks. But we're going into it with a positive mindset. This is a decent hand. We have no Ether Vial, but we have the Adept. And in the dark, in these kind of situations, we look at this opponent. We see no companion. We see 60 cards. In the dark, we are on the play, so in the dark I don't want to just play out the Tideshipper. If I knew it was a blue mage I was playing against, it would be fine just to play it out as a 7 line, but I don't want to just play it out here in the dark. Oh, we are actually on the draw. So he plays a Sacred Foundry and taps it for Search Node. Search Node. And I was immediately confused by this. What is going on? This is a crazy artifact, which is focused on charge counters and roaming around charge counters. And I gotta say, this is completely new for me. This is a kind of deck that is called Dice Factory, where it is pretty crazy combo. Of course a bit out of the meta and a bit experimental, but Cool tech by TSP to try to get Dice Factor up and running. The concept of the deck, and we're going to see that later, is that they're running the card called Magistrate's Scepter. It's a 3 mana rare from M19, which allows you to tap and remove 3 charge counters from it, and then you take an extra turn. And you can see Search Node can actually put counters on that specific card. So the game plan is to take infinite turns, and that's pretty good. So they play Oswald. Oswald is again a card I never played against, a new card, which is kind of like Birthing Pot, but for artifacts. And we are looking here, what do we need to do to try to stall these guys out? Because in this situation, we want to get the pressure on, but we also want to see if we can hurt them in some way. But it doesn't, they're an artifact deck, so getting them off red mana is really not that important. And it might be better to see if we can maybe get a Svealun fast or get something up and running. So I think in this situation we're considering between Adept or Tidechipper, but I think it's fine just to play the Adept down. But this deck is just insane, the deck we're playing against. Absolutely crazy. And it's of course important for us. We want to have a really good follow up on the trophy. So it's scary to meet a deck like this, a completely under the radar deck choice. And because we are not running our Force of Negations in the main deck at the moment, it's kind of hard because the subtleties, if we don't have them, but even if we had, they're really not interacting with them that much. We have no dismembers for the Fiddlebender, so this is actually pretty tough. And now he plays this Core Tapper, and of course, I'm gonna give him this guy a little bit of credit because really cool tech. The Core Tapper again is about putting charge counters on artifacts, but because you can sacrifice it, it allows you to give exactly 3 charge counters on the Magistrate's Scepter I mentioned before. So a Core Tapper and a Magistrate's Scepter will actually give you a new turn. So you can, if you have a Magistrate's Scepter out, you can use the Core Tapper to put on charge counter. You can sack the Core Tapper, 2 extra charge counters, and you take an extra turn. So that's a 2 mana time walk. That is a 2 mana time walk, but of course Sorcerer Speed. But the Lightning Greaves will also help them do it right away. In this situation, we need to put maximum pressure on. So I just want to board out so I can double play next turn. So playing down Kira is fine. I don't really know this deck. Maybe he has Boros Charm or Lightning Bolts or whatever removal spells. So maybe it's fine to do that. He plays down Ranger of Captainias, finds the Hope of Girapur. That doesn't really help him. But the Ranger is interesting because I think he uses that to protect his combo. So in this situation, we just want to see if we can start getting in for damage. But it's looking scary as we have no interaction. Not even Tricksters to tap down the Core Tapper. So by taking him off, no need to take him off the Boros lands. But the castle could be decent, and now we can just get in for 5. So he is dead next turn if he doesn't do anything. I mean, he's on 5, but on 7, but that is also lethal next turn. But the issue is that he actually finds his combo, which is a scary prospect. Notice here, he uses his Ranger of Captain Fierce. And that's actually interesting because even if I would have had the Force of Negation, I couldn't have used it here. So he plays Saheeli. And then he can sack the Lightning Greaves and using it Birthing Pot wise to get in the Magistrate's Scepter. And I'm just, at this moment, I'm confused because I really didn't know what was going on. I was just like, okay, what is going on? What can this card do? And he can just say, let's copy with Saheeli. and make a copy of his Court Tapper, sacrificing it to take counters on Scepter and taking an extra turn. Okay, he took an extra turn. We can maybe find something out. He plays another Court Tapper. And now it goes haywire as he searches up. He sacrifices his Court Tapper to search up the Mimic Vat. Mimic Vat? That card I used to see back in the days. Yeah, you can then imprint the Court Tapper on Mimic Vat, using it to provide infinite Court Tappers, and each Court Tapper, because it has haste, will go in, put a charge counter on Magistrate Scepter, sacrifice it, tap it, take an extra turn. So now he can have infinite turns, and I'm like, this guy, how cheeky is he to get going off with this combo? I'm considering, can I do anything? But we get a little more information of him. We see that he has Oyster Saga. So then Tide Chippers and Spreading Seas are good for game 2. And this situation we see, I write to him, I like your style, TSP, and we can't really do anything because the construct tokens will just be really big here. And with infinite turns, it doesn't matter. He only have 2. There are at least 6 X's. And each turn he can just play, use the Mimic Vat to take an extra turn. I'm just a bit, at this moment, I'm just impressed by my opponent being creative. So sideboard, I have no idea what's going on, pretty much. I know that they want to run off their combo, and I think, okay, Skydivers are good, because I can take them off their combo. Force of Negations will be good here, because I can counter his Magistrate Scepter on his artifacts. In retrospect, I was also thinking Dismembers could be good for the Fiddlebender to take it off, and also the small Court Tappers, killing them. And some decks might also be playing something like Ingenious Smith, which can be an alternative threat. But in retrospect, on the play, I definitely should have brought in counterspells in this situation. I just don't know what I should have brought out. Maybe because it's a combo deck, you can say, let's just take out Svelun, or taking out... don't know, because since they have Ursa Saga, it's a bit tough. But I think counterspells would have been good, especially on the play. Because here we still need to cut something. And we cut Svelun a bit slow and just cut 1 Lord. We draw a hand, it's decent. We have double Force of Negation. See if we can beat the combo deck. And I actually think maybe in this new meta without Lurrus's card engine value, maybe there will be some interesting deck popping up. It's always fun with something like that. It changes the meta a bit. So, in this situation, I wanted to get maximum value off the Glassbone Mimic, and also considering Glassbone Mimic, maybe I can pitch it to Force. And with an Adept in play, I think there's a good chance I can draw a blue source. So I just wanted to get the Cavern out instead of the Adept. Giver Runes, that actually confuses me a bit here. And I draw immediately another Glassbone Mimic, and now I was like, okay, that maybe it would have been nice to play the Glassbone Mimic initially, and I draw the Master. So we haven't had luck in reaching our blue source, as we drew Mimic and Master, which means that now we need to draw a blue source to be able to pay the Master. Otherwise, we have no other play than paying a Skydiver. He has the Fiddlebender, and now he can protect with Giver of Runes. It's kind of tough. It's a rough spot. Of course, we need to play the Glassbone Mimic, but it would have been much better to get the Glassbone Mimic in. And I think often when you have no optimal turn 1 play, I think it's actually correct to make sure you get the value of using your turn 1 to something, and getting the Glassbone Mimic in turn 1 is good. But I'm playing 22 lands, of course, with 3 Mimics, but so I was hoping I could get a draw there, but I should have just played the Mimic on 1. Now I need to play it here, and I can attack. Of course, I couldn't attack because Giver of Runes would just have made Oswald indestructible. I could have played the Skydiver, but I'm thinking I need the value here. He plays Court Tapper and can protect it with the Giver of Runes, so pretty rough. He's not playing his non-creature spells, but again here, counterspell would have been better, even though I should, of course, have had to double blue at this point. Here's the Warlock Grove. This is decent, so now we can get down a Lord and attack with Mutavault, but still, he can just give his cards, his creatures protection. Another play is to, of course, the optimal thing is to take the Skydiver and take out the Core Tapper, but of course, doing that will just make him give it protection. The good thing about Giver of Runes is that it can also give protection against colorless. In this situation, he could just give his Core Tapper protection from blue. So I need to just play down the Glasspool Mimic and copy the Adept. So it's not looking that hot, this game. Giver of Runes is really stalling us out here. And what's a great card. I'm a big fan of the original printing, Mother of Runes, but Giver of Runes is a cool addition. So he plays Everflowing Chalice, and of course there's an argument just to forcing this. But again, the good thing about Teeny Skydiver is that it can take the Everflowing Chalice for only 3 mana, and if he uses Core Tapper to put up a lot of value on it, we still can just steal it next turn. He plays another Core Tapper. Now he sacrifices with Fiddlebender, the Core Tapper. So we can't even counter the thingy artifact birthing pots in here. 1000-year elixir, I have no idea what's going on. But that's good for him because his creatures have haste, so the Core Tapper can be used right away. So I can see why it makes sense. And it could be dangerous for us. He also sprayed Astral Concussion. We could be countering this, but then again, it's just about giving mana. So I actually think we should not counter. We need to counter the Magistrate if we can, but he can just get it with Fiddlebender, so it's not looking good. And maybe we should have countered this, but we can also just take that one with the Teeny Skydiver instead of the 1000-year elixir, which is not that interesting for us. But even though I think actually the right play here would be to take the Astral Concussion, Konokia. You can take that with Skydiver and 1x, and then you can play the Lord of Atlantis. But all again, this matchup is just like, I'm having a bit fun playing with this guy and having a good time late in, because it's like this matchup is not going to happen that much. It's a really niche deck, and always scary to meet someone like that in round 1. So we consider here, should we just take the Concopia or should we take the Elixir? But maybe the Elixir could give him some crazy interactions, and he can also untap his Core Tapper and going a bit off with it. So we choose to take the 1000-year elixir just to say let's do that. And here we actually make a mistake, which could potentially be costly, because we take the elixir and he uses that to put it on. In this situation, we actually suddenly, and he untaps and he puts another charge counter on it. And I think this is interesting, he does that. So he made a weird mistake, because the Core Tapper was the reason why I didn't want to attack with the Adepts, because he could just block with an Adept and give out runes, make it protection. But for some reason, he chose not only to untap the Core Tapper and give it, he gave a counter to the Astral Konokia. He untapped it with the 1000-year elixir, and then instead of waiting, he just tapped it again. And this is a mistake on him. So, but I don't want to, save myself too much, because I should have, of course, just attacked. But I was just like, he's never gonna attack. I just tap through. Now he uses Portable Hole to take out of one of my creatures, and I'm still thinking I need to see if I can get a really good hit on a Force Negation, and I need the Lord, so I can't really. I think I need to only force one thing, as I need to double Lord soon if I need to get enough pressure on. And so we let it happen. It's just a 2-1 flyer. Goblin Engineer can't counter that either. So we can find Magistrate and put that into the graveyard. which means that we are under time pressure here. Goblin Engineer is a cool card. It lets him tutor up an artifact and play it in his graveyard. And now he can sacrifice the Portable Hole, giving us back the Skydiver, getting Lightning Greaves in, give his Engineer haste, tap that, and getting the Magistrate's Scepter in play with an untapped Core Tapper. So now he can suddenly take infinite turns. So it didn't really matter if I have make the correct attack. Then he would have been on 8 now. But now he's doing infinite turns, and I'm not getting back from this. I should have counted the Portable Hole, but then he could have sacrificed the Coinopia instead. So I don't think I could have done anything that much differently. I should have been more aggressive on the forces. But this situation, he just got to beat us out. So, tough loss. He's just going off here. You can see playing this Crackdown construct. So I think it's a pretty cool deck. I gotta say, search Dice Factory. Check it up if you guys also are into this kind of tinkery combo deck. I think it looks really cool and really fun to play. And I think it was fun that we got to play it. And of course, I'm sad that we didn't manage to beat it. Because now he gets protected from blue and Shroud and Haste with an 8/8. So pretty good play by him. And we need to get back on a winning ways here. But that hit us off from the left field. So into next round. And this one is a bit more of a traditional deck we're playing against here. We see Widow Fiddles, but actually not. It's actually also kind of a brew, and we find that out later. Good hand. We can play down our Ether Vial. He finds the Katria Triumph, so we think maybe this is Elementals. Elemental Soup. He has the Yorion as a companion. We know that because he has 80 cards, and he plays the Ren at 6. Okay, Ren at 6. What do we need to do here? There's an argument for just we just want to get him off his mana as much as possible. So we're just spreading seas to see if we can do that. And the Mutterfall is pretty good to get down because then we have an attacker on the Ren 6. He plays Expressive Iteration, and I think again this is just such a value engine. Expressive Iteration is great, and he can get back the Wooded Foothills from Ren 6. So we have double Lord. Considering here, what should we do? There's an argument to playing down Svealoon, but again, if he has a removal spell or a Fury, it will leave it vulnerable. And when you have Kira in your hand, I think it's better just to start with Kira. This is why she's in there. She needs to be the first one to hit the ground. And this also means that we have an active Vial. We can Vial in the Lord, and the Lord would be difficult to deal with. And this is our Singleton Kira. And I actually think Kira is pretty good now in this meta. Also, Ren 6 is going to see a lot more play. And Kira will protect us a bit against the Ren 6 activation on Adept, stuff like that. Of course, the Ren 6 can also help to break the Kira shield. But I still think she's pretty good against all these elementals. He's going just Value Engine with Ren 6, and he plays Omnath. Big bad Omnath, back to ruin my day once again. But again, our luck is that we have a pretty good draw here. And notice this situation, playing against these elemental-like decks, it's always interesting to see what we should do. Of course, we're gonna Ether Vial in the Lord, but just considering what should we do next turn. Should we take up the Ether Vial after we play the Lord here? By doing that, it allows us to attack with Muttervault and play a Lord again, and have an Ether Vial with Svealoon active. Another consideration is also to going after his mana here. And I like to use the Spreading Seas proactively. And his mana base is so greedy, again, that the Rockland Tome will mean if we take out the Rockland Tome, for example, with the Spreading Seas, he will get off his white mana, and he won't be able to hardcast the Solitude, for example. We do a Lord here, so there's an argument just to play the Lord and attack with Muttervault, going in for, which would be 8 damage. That would be pretty good. But he'll get a lot of life from Omnath, because he will retrieve his Wooded Foothills. So there's also considering to killing off Ren 6, so he can't go Value Engine off. So we consider back and forth, what should we do here? Should we Svealoon, Lord, attack with Muttervault? Or should we Svealoon, Lord, and just attack for 5? The problem with that is that then we can't kill a Ren 6 if we don't attack with the Muttervault. But the Spring Season, the Draco Trump will just take him off white mana. That's pretty good. But the problem with that is that we can't then play a Lord if we Spring Seas. Then we need to draw another island. But I think it's so good to get him off white mana. I still think it's a correct play to do. And then hopefully we can draw a blue source from this. We do. And this is really good. This means that our... And let's just get this Valakut in to protect our team. Then we have 5 pounds of damage. And getting Ren 6 down to 1 is not really that interesting. So instead I wanted to put the pressure on his life here. We just want to get him down as much as possible. Even though Omnath will give him potentially 8 life next turn. I think it's fine because suddenly we are hitting in for a lot. You can see here, if we Lord again and attack with Mutavault, we have a lot of damage. That would be 19 damage almost. So he taps out here, uses all his mana. What is going on? This is interesting. And this guy is a hipster and a brewer. He brings Bring to Light in. It's a really great card, but I haven't really seen it in the meta game before now. So I think this could be a new interesting joker, as people will start be able to play a card like that. So we can now search his library for an instant sorcery card, a creature card with mana value less or equal to the number of colored spells, and he used 4 different colors. So that's interesting. He can find something with 4. We can't really counter it, but we're just considering this card. What could he potentially bring in? What could he find? And he brings in Valakut. And the cool check here is by bringing in Valakut, he can flip it around and choose Tybalt, the backside of it. And that actually has a really crazy effect where he can exile target artifact or creature. Of course, we have a pretty big board, but exiling this Valakut is good. But he starts by exiling it with the Kira shield up. And I'm just like, yeah, well, I have both Kira with protection from with ward as well. So we have both the Kira shield and with the ward shield. We're really well protected. It's like we're having a safe deposit box within a locked vault. And he chooses the wrong thing to do. He should have used the Ren 6 to take off the Kira shield on the Valakut. But by doing that blunder, he's dead on the backswing. So looking at that deck we played against here, the members are not as interesting. Of course, they can take out the Omnath, but the Omnath will already have given it so much value. I rather want to subtlety the Omnath or counter it. So the subtleties are good, especially as we're considering he should probably have a lot of elementals. We haven't seen any, but it looks like it's the elemental deck, right? Fortification. That's also pretty good. We saw he had the non-creature spell he used to find the Tybalt. He had the Ren 6. It could be really good to force of negation a Ren 6, especially if you're on the draw. So it's so hard to play down the Silver Egg Elaborate, and he just Ren 6, kill it all already. So back in it. Marshmallow chess. What are you gonna do? Draw this hand? Not a great hand. It needed 1 more land. Let's just make the Ether Viola into an island. Now, we need to mulligan. This is much better. Of course, we still in the issue of the Mimic. And we need to play Ether Viola on 1. We take away the Subtlety. The Subtlety is typically not insanely great against elementals in the first couple of rounds. And when you're mulligan, it's giving yourself a 2 for 1, not that interesting. And I like the other cards. So let's do that. We draw Mutavault. Great draw. I love Mutavault here. Now we can play our cards. He plays Ren 6. And I'm just like, okay, so these 80 card value guys, suddenly they always have Ren 6. What is going on? We play Spring Seas on his Charm here. We could consider Tidechipper, but Tidechipper will be vulnerable to removal spell, and we just want to give him as mana screwed as possible. But it also allows us to either vial in the Tidechipper instep and have a surprise attacker alongside Mutavault for killing off Ren 6. He plays Abundant Growth, and that's of course tempting for us to Tidechipper, so the Abundant Growth will go off. But I really like to have the surprise attack here. He thinks his Ren 6 is safe, but by doing this play with Spreading Seas, we have a 2/2 we can vial in, and we have a Lord we can attack with, or a Mutavault we can attack with as well. We can bring in the Lord from the Ether Vial, and we can hit with the Mutavault, exactly killing the Ren 6. So this is a complete surprise attack for him, and I actually really like the way we played this. simply because the normal play would just play the Tide Chipper to get pressure on board. But by doing this, we'll surprise him and putting in the Tide Chipper at end step. And we can also put down a new vial. Okay, so it's looking good. We got the Brennan 6 off board, but yet he has 8 cards and a lot of mana, so we're still having an interesting game. He chooses to Prismatic Ending, but he's not using it on Lord. He's using it on one of the vials. Okay, I had a vial, yes, but then again, and then he plays Coiling Oracle, one of the new techs. This is an old card, of course, but a little bit of a value card. And he plays Valakut. And then he lightning bolts the Lord of Valencia. But Valakut is interesting. This is new to me. So this was also a brewer. So first 2 rounds of this game is like these brewers coming out of the shells to brew. And it's actually suddenly looking like it's some sort of Valakut deck. And this is scary, of course. But we don't really have that much game against Valakut or Shapeshift or some Scapeshift, something that we could expect it to be. So we just want to start by attacking in and putting down the Svelun, having up the Waterlogged Grove activation. This is good because now our Svelun is technically indestructible against the elementals, but a bit nervous about what's going on since he played that Valakut. And we are 19, he plays down Renaissance. And new Renaissance. He used to take down his Scalding Tarn. And then he puts his Yorn in hand. In our turn, we put up the vial, draw another Svelun. Not interesting at this moment. A bit unfortunate sequence here, but we still have the option of attacking with Mutavault and Tide Chipper and the Svelun, of course. The problem is that we have no Island Walk, which means that the Coiling Oracle can block. But when I attack, I have the chance of drawing a Lord and cheating in with Vial before the blocks. But that's not necessarily going to happen. It's something we are hoping for. And if it doesn't happen, the 3 creatures attacking, I need to put him on down with life, but I also need to kill off the Renaissance. But it's not optimal to attack the Renaissance. If I attack them with all, Renaissance will just provide him with 7 points of life. That's too much value to give the Renaissance. If I attack with Svelun alone, he'll just block, or just go down to 1, could also do. And if I attack with the 2/2/2s on Renaissance, he would instead just block one of them, and Renaissance wouldn't die. So I actually don't like attacking Renaissance. It's only if I draw the Lord that play makes sense, and I don't know if I do that. So I just say, let's go all in on all creatures on his face, just to kill him next turn. And we actually draw a Lord. And the Lord is interesting because we can put that down before blocks, and now Coiling Oracle can't block, and we'll put him actually to, I think it's like 2 or something we're putting down to, and then the Mutavault would be lethal. Okay, so this is interesting. Looking decent. He has one turn. Now we put pressure on him, saying, you have 1 turn now, sir. And this is where he comes out of left field with the Escape Shift. What? Escape Shift? And the problem with Escape Shift math is that when you have 7 lands and sack them, that's if you have 7 lands, and that's the math is that then it's 18 damage. And I'm looking at this saying, I have 19 lives. Okay, what's going to happen? Is he going to try to clear my board with all these Valakut triggers? He's going for my face. And of course the problem is that, yes, you can see here, Valakut is only down to 1, but he has a Renaissance, and he can shoot us for the last one. Good, well done, Marshmallow Chess. Pretty cool stuff. So it's 1-1. Interesting situation. Well played by him in this situation. If we had attacked the Svelun on Renaissance, hoping to draw that Lord, we would have won this game. But of course you can't know things like that. That's the sad thing, and we didn't know he had the Escape Shift even. So, okay, counterspells is good against Escape Shift. It can both take care of his creatures and it can take care of his Escape Shift. So the good thing about counterspell, comparing that to subtleties, is that it'll be a big help towards Escape Shift, and so is Force of Negation. This hand, okay, we do have the Force of Negation, so we want to keep it. This is a situation where we need to use the ability from Trickster, turn 1, to make sure that we hit our land drops. Steam vents. Okay, we want to see if we can get him off red and 6. He has it each turn, apparently. So by doing this, his Steam vents is an island. It was an island, but now it can produce red. And that's really strong, because he had the green mana, and then he would be able to play his red and 6. And he's actually so annoyed by the Tideshipper that he immediately uses his Prismatic Ending. And we're considering should we actually force negation this. I just think it's so much value for him to get a 2-for-1 out of a Prismatic Ending at that time. But it could be argued to do that. Okay, so here, looking at this, he might be able to ren 6 next turn, but he might not if I take him off green. And we try to do that instead and play down the shore, which was a good draw. So now we have 3 mana next turn. Instead, he had the Dryad of the Elysian Grove. The ren 6 we could of course also have forced of negation that one, so that would be pretty good. But Dryad is cool. That's a good card, and it's really nice to see Dryad in Escape Shift with Valakut, because then you have all your lands are mountains. That's pretty cool. He passes to us, and this is actually pretty funny. So we consider what should we actually do here. The right play for me and for us right now is to play the Adept and then use tricks on his turn. The reason why it's good is that then the Dryad will be slowed down a bit. He won't have the opportunity to draw to play 2 lands, and his lands won't be able to do a lot of things. So and he won't get his Valakut value from Dryad. So we do it in upkeep because we want to do it anyway, so why not do it immediately? And when that happens, notice here, it removes, not only does it tap it, but it removes all the abilities. So his lands are now only what they normally are. But notice here, look at the Wooded Foothills he just played. He can use that as a swamp or whatever and play the Bring to Light for 5 colors. This is crazy. We're looking double at this. What's going on? The Dryad of the Elysian Grove still works. I don't think this should happen. I think this is a mistake on Moto's side. So just to make sure, let's take a little screenshot of this. Okay. Anyways, we need to play on. The Bring to Light is of course great here, but luckily we have the Force Negation, and we can force it by pitching a Master. Okay, but it's 2 cards now, and we can put a lot of pressure on. Spreading Seas. I don't think that's relevant at this moment. I think it's better just to get Lord down and attack. This will also give him 9 points of damage. We are unblockable. So he's on 5. We can kill him next turn. He needs to go off right at this moment. And he has only 2 and now 3 cards left. He's searching. It looks good. Even if he finds a solution for the Lord, we have 1 more. Love having multiple Lords. Prismatic Ending. He did find the solution for that one. And now he taps out. And when he taps out now, with Ren 6, he can shoot the Silver Adept. All of these things are pretty good. But this is where, again, Mutavault, in that argument, what a great card. Here we win solely on the power of the Mutavault, because we can play down the Lord, activate a Mutavault, and we have 6 power unblockable, and we win the game. Great stuff. Going 1-1. We're going into round 3. Really nice. Okay. Round 3. We have a good hand. We see no companions. And we're playing again Kano, Yogoro. Let's face off. Either while, turn 1, we have a Subtlety. And this is a guy, he plays a basic Swamp and a Relic. Again, what is going on here? What are we playing against? We take out an Adept, we draw another Adept, which is always nice. And he just cracks his Relic. Okay, you got it, bro. Kano, you are doing what you want. And again, I have no idea what I'm playing against here. I think this is just like the Brewer's Paradise city we're going through here. We don't know. We can tick up our vial. Now we can suddenly start doing a lot of things. Unfortunately, we didn't draw a land. I would love to be able to play Otavara. But let's see if we can draw a land here. I actually really want to, if I can, hold the Autovirus in hand. Simply because they are really good spells if you float out, then it's great. But in this situation, it's correct to get them down. I didn't want to play out the Vial at this moment, or the Lord from the Vial, simply because it's 1 point of damage, and I don't really know what's going on. Maybe he has some sort of wrath effect, but when I then put it on instep, he used the Defile on it, which is interesting. It indicates a lot of his deck seems like it's based around having a lot of swarms. So I'm thinking like Capital Coffers and what other things. Back in my days, they used to play Drain Life, that sort of thing. We draw a Mutavault. This is actually pretty good. We can hold up Subtlety. Maybe he has some sort of good Planeswalker on 4. There should be some Lilianas he could be playing. He just cycles his Relic. And we can hit in for a 6. But actually use March of Wretched Sorrow. Interesting. I like these new March cards. They're pretty nice. I also actually like the blue one. And for Merfolk players, we should consider the blue one as a potential playable. I tested it in Historic. And simply because in Historic, the issue in Historic is that Merfolk in Historic, we don't have any evasion. And only if they have islands, because there's not really that good spreading seas type effects. But the March of Overworldly Light, or the blue March, I can't remember what it's called, but it gives their potentially our creatures facing, and also their creatures facing. So it's the blue, 1 blue mana, X, and X creatures gets facing. And facing technically means that they're just not in the game until the controller's next upkeep. So either we can use it on our turn to remove 3 blockers, just like that, or we can use it to protect our creatures if they use something like a Wrath effect, if they use something like a single creature removal for an important Svelun. And for 1 blue mana you can hold that up, because you can, of course, as with all marches, discard blue cards, or discard cards to make it cheaper. He finally taps out for something. What's going on? Now a big Planeswalker potentially. Let's get that with Subtlety. Another March. And this to give him 4 life. I don't know what's going on. Doesn't really matter. By casting the Subtlety, we are lethal. So this guy really didn't do that much, but he showed us he had Capital Coffers. So again, some sort of combo deck around swamps. I don't know what's going on yet, but the Force Negation could be good if he's tapping out for something like a big X spell or whatever. And again, I don't really know what's going on. It seems like it's like mono black control. So I still think that the Planeswalkers should be here somewhere. But Kano, I have no idea. You are the brewmaster. It's fine. Do your thing, sir. Either while. Again, this is a great hand, by the way. You know, you have the Force of Negation, which means we can take out an early play, early Liliana or something like that. Considering here, should we also use it on Thoughtseize? But in this situation, I don't like using on Thoughtseize. It's not that good at the moment, Thoughtseize. And giving him 2 cards for Thoughtseize would just be giving him a 2-for-1 for 1 mana. So he get the pick of the litter. Take whatever he wants, sir. He takes the Spreading Seas. I think he's afraid I'm going to take up Urborg. And I would have done that as well, so that may be good. But I draw the Tideshipper instead. Here I could consider Tideshipper, and I like to do it because it'll put pressure on his mana. So especially since he took Spreading Seas, I was like, okay, so maybe this is an important card. Unfortunately, he had the Defile he could use in response. Well played, Kano. Nice to do it while it was still counting as a Swarm, and he plays down Capital Coffers. We draw a land. And we take down the Adept. And we draw a land. Great stuff. Great stuff. Okay, he plays another Relic. And these relics, it seems like he's just using them to cycle with. Okay, so either while allows us to put down a Lord. We can hit in for 3 damage, that's fine. We have a force of negation up. In this situation, I could go for capital coffers, but that will leave him really vulnerable. Because if I do that, I can't play force unless I find something with Warlock Grove. And I want to see if I can get him off his big mana spells, like for example the capital coffers can provide a lot of mana next turn. So I think it's correct to try to go off his mana. And if he plays something, we have the option of cracking Warlock Grove to find a blue card to pitch to force. So this is our play in this situation. Luckily he doesn't really do anything, unless but I still think it's correct to crack it. And we find another land. And now he taps out. What is this? Crazy, a great spell maybe? No, just a 1/1. I don't think he's seeing the full potential of the modern meta game by playing these marches as some sort of life gain trigger. We can beat it for a couple of 2 damage, and we draw another land. I think we are starting to have our pretty crazy combination of how many lands we draw. Profane Tutor, nah, it's ready now. He can cast it. He finds a card. This is scary. We do have the force negation. And it's a Thought Seize he starts with. Not good for us. We need to counter that, of course. And now he can tap out for his big thing. First he cycles Barrenmore, and it's a Damnation. So we're now down to 6 lands under either vial. Luckily one is Smooth Vault. Pretty tough here. We take it up. We get the Brazen Borrower. That's decent. That's an aggressor. But it's really crazy how many lands we have been drawing. He plays down the Relic again, cycles it. It seems like it's just a really good 1/1 card for him. He's just cycling the Relic all the time. I don't know why it's in there. And then instead we can put down the Brazen Burrow, and he can immediately remove it. No, he didn't. Okay, should we go for Subtlety or Svelune? I think it's better to hold off Svelune. We draw the Mimic. Interesting. And now we can actually either vial Mimic in. What does he have here? It's scary to use Glasspool Mimic to copy the Brazen Borrower if he has some sort of instant removal like Defile. So what I'm thinking here is that let's just wait with the Glasspool Mimic. And actually, instead of copying the Brazen Borrower, we also have the option of copying Mutavault. So we choose to just attack in, saying let's keep the Ether Vial as a potential with the Glasspool Mimic, and we might also draw a Lord. So we attack in for 5. He taps out. Another March of Overwhelming Light. And the interesting part is that he takes our Brazen Borrower, but we can then copy our Mutavault. And what happens when you copy the Mutavault with an active... or he shoots the Mutavault, but we much rather want the Mutavault against Damnation. So by copying Glasspool Mimic on Mutavault, you get another Mutavault. And he had a Damnation. So this was actually a good play, as it allowed us to have some sort of pressure. And we finally find another land. In this situation... we need to draw something. He's not doing too hot either, so he passes to us. And we find a Spraying Seas. This is of course fine, we can just cycle it. And here's the Svelune, that was great. And we can put it in end step. Of course it will be unprotected, but we can't sit around and wait. Also he plays down the Field Rune, which means that he can now kill the Mutavault. So now we will be really far away from protecting our Svelune. So now it's good just to put it in and see if he doesn't have anything more on his 1 card in hand. And we draw another land. And we draw another land. At this point I'm just like, okay. It was fun enough for Scroll of Things. I tried to be cheeky here and put the Cavern on Elemental. So maybe he'll think I have a Subtlety. This is just me trying to do something. We draw a Glasspool Mimic, which is a great draw because it can copy absolutely nothing. But at least we find a Trickster. So now we're considering, okay, now we actually suddenly have the opportunity to do something here. And he does something pretty cool. He plays Urbok, and by playing Urbok, his Urbok will die, and then his Fatal can actually kill Svelune. But we are even more tricky. We can use Trickster, put down Merfolk, Mimic, Glasspool Mimic, copy Trickster. Now we have 2 Merfolks, because the Glasspool Mimic could also be a Merfolk. And we win the game, 2-0. Good, we are 2-1 in the league. It's going up, and looking forward also to the next round. So let's hopefully see if we can keep on keeping on. So we mulligan first hand, not good. Secluded Courtyard, naming humans, either vile. Oof. Humans, are they really coming back now? I don't like that. Humans is... I don't like the humans matchup. I think they do some of the same things we do, but their creatures get a little... their creatures can get really big. Champion of the Parish can grow a lot. Can be a really scary prospect. He plays down Talia. Talia Guardian of Threat. It's not actually that interesting a card for us, or against us, because we don't have that much non-creature spells, so I don't want to subtlety it, giving him a 2-for-1 in this situation. So we let that resolve. And we draw Spreading Seas. We can play it, of course, because of Talia, but I think this situation against humans, we want to be on the controlling side of the gameplay. So when he attacks in now, I just want to see if we can do. He played Champion of Parish. This card is scary on the other hand, because with an either vile on 1 and a 1 mana spell, it can be really fast at being a 3-3 or a 4-4, and Trickster won't really help against that because it still have counters on it. So I think the correct play is to that one we need to subtlety. Also because he would never put that on top, as it would be a or he could, but it's typically a pretty bad top deck. So it's a pretty good card to put on top, and he also puts it on the bottom. So we get that all the way out of there, and I think that's correct. When he attacks with Thalia, now we can take off the first strike and trade. But now we are pretty far down on resources. He plays down Kite Sail Freebooter and misses. Yeah, it needs to be non-land, non-creature spell. So it's about creating the Planeswalkers. So we enjoy that. That's fine. But again, pretty cool to Kite Sail Freebooter with either Vile in upkeep. That's like having a Vidalian click in 2022. Not much we can do here. We play down the Lord. And see if hopefully chaining Lords could be a way of winning. In his turn, he'll either Vile into the Imperial Recruiter. What a nice card. Old school. Old school card. And also good value engine. What is he finding? Taylor's Lieutenant, which is a great card for this deck. I think actually that little sequence is interesting for humans, and I think they could be coming back a bit. Because now suddenly the Kite Sail Freebooter is becoming a threat in the air as a 2/3 flyer. And pre-board we have no flying threats, so we have nothing we can do on that. We draw a Vial, which is too late at this moment, but we can get in for 3 damage with the Lord. And he'll... I was like, the Talos Lieutenant is going to get big from the humans. It's going to pump all the other humans. So I wanted to offer the trade in this situation, and he took it. I think that could be argued, but I think if you're just sitting back and taking damage from the air, and it's Talos Lieutenant putting more and more tokens on his creatures, I think it's better to offer the trade at that moment. He puts down Mantis Rider, and that's also a human, and a Kite Sail Freebooter, so if he didn't block, his creature would be insanely big. So I actually don't know if it was correct for him to block. I think, for my sake, it was fine to get it out the way. And he can go down and damage us for 5. And it looks bleak now. It's not good. Humans. We draw land. We just need to draw, put this one down. And considering he should be attack, offering a trade on the Mantis Rider, I think there's an argument to do that. But also think in this situation, since he, if we do that, he will probably... I think actually it's correct to attack here, but I'm thinking I need my lords to help me out here, and I'm actually considering, we're considering should we attack, and then choosing no. I think in this situation, we should have attacked. We should have offered to trade with the Mantis Rider, where we had the chance. He's running away with the game at the moment with the flying power, and another Mantis Rider means that he'll hit us down for lethal. Not this turn, but next turn. I don't think it would have changed anything. He would have just taken the 3 damage. But we should have attacked anyways. Interesting, they're also playing the Esper Sentinel. So not much we can do here. We can copy the master, but we will be dead on the swing back, and we have no ways of getting any more creatures in, so we are pretty done for. The only thing we can do is attack, and hopefully he will do some trades. He didn't, so it's pretty game over. Maybe he'll give us some information. Meddling Mage. They're playing Meddling Mage. Saying Merfolk Trickster. Good play actually, because that could be some of the things we would have. So he's up 1-0 against humans. We want a lot of interaction because he has the Ether Vial himself. I like Thieving Skydiver. Also because it's a blocker in the air, and with only one Lord, it can trade with a Mantis Rider. Spreading Seas is too slow in this matchup. Also on the play, we need to push down. Bracing Borrow is also good because it can bounce something. Bounce some Meddling Mage at the right time. It can trade with a Mantis Rider. So I like that as well. Salty is also really good, as we saw before. Creature heavy deck we're playing against. I don't like the counter magic simply because he has Ether Vial, so it could be totally nullified. So even though I'm considering counter spells, especially on the play, yeah, if you just bring in an Ether Vial on one, it will do absolutely close to nothing in a game like this. So I think this is fine to run it back. One thing I'm considering is that Kira is not good. I just want to maybe put one Spreading Seas in. And this is simply because Spreading Seas would allow us to get unblockable, maybe at some point, to do some sort of Alpha Strike when we're on the play here. Yeah, this is a hand. The problem is that this hand needs something. Either you want to play the Glasspool Mimic turn 1 on the play, but I think that's fine. That's one of the powers behind the Glasspool Mimic, and now we can use the second Glasspool Mimic as a third lord. He plays a Noble Hierarch. Great to see you again, Noble Hierarch. I always loved the flavor of Noble Hierarch, and now the Noble Hierarch. And this situation is fine just to put down the Tide Chipper and taking him off the uncharted territory. Maybe this can stall him a bit, and we get our island walk up and running. So everything is fine in this sequence. We race. We can race well. This is the other thing that's weird about this matchup, especially the version of the deck we're playing here with the 8 lords, is that it's so important to being on the play. He plays Meddling Mage. And naming, I think it says Lord of Lenses here. He's considering it. What should I mention? Sverlu. Maybe I should check Sverlu. He could be playing Sverlu. And he takes Sverlu. It's interesting also here because naming the Lord wouldn't have done anything. So, in this situation, we just want to get as much power on the board as possible. We could have played the Adept and offered the trade with the Tide Chipper, but I think the Tide Chipper is too important now, and if we just attacked in, his Meddling Mage would definitely block the Tide Chipper. I don't know if it definitely would, but I think it's important for him to get the unclaimed territory back up online and the island away from him. There's another Meddling Mage, and I think he actually mentions the Lord of Lenses. And the tile to 10, so now he can actually start beating a bit down as well. But we're still on the aggressor side here. We had a good draw, and the Ether Vial will also help us play around the Metal Image. Island is a fine draw. This allows us to attack with Mutavault if that's what we want. We can also attack with Mutavault and play down the Lord, so we can get in for more damage. There's also option of double Lord next turn, which means that we can, if we play an Adept and attack with Mutavault, we'll hit him down for 6, going to 11, and then we can double Lord next turn, and the Adept can be a random blocker. So we like that play. This is a good line. We can't kill him anyways, so the good thing about this line is that this will guarantee us a lot of extra power by being able to double Lord next turn. And it's always nice to have the Lords in hand for the turn you do something crazy for attacks. If there's Turak, that doesn't do anything. Why is that even still in your deck after sideboard? It's protection from white, not blue. It's a cool card though. So he beats him with a team. Now tapped out, we're doing the math, double Lord. That means we can hit down for, I think it's lethal next turn. Yeah, we can do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So by putting in this one and copying, we are lethal here. Especially because we can draw the land, so we can also attack with Mutavault. This is plenty of damage, and we win the game. So 1-1 against humans. Really satisfied with the draw and the rollout of the deck here. The Dismembers is also good in this matchup, especially if we can get them early. Is there something else we could do here? We could bring in the last Skydiver. What should we take out if we do that? Maybe the Singleton Spreading Seas. It could be good. I think the Skydiver is pretty good. Yeah. We can also just take out a Svelun. Maybe it's a bit too slow on the play. They can just have some crazy board outs. This hand is bad, only one land. And now we can't really have the luxury of being aggressive in our keep. But I like this hand. We have the Ether Vial, double Lord. Maybe the Lord is going back here, because the Trickster can be good against him. We need the Glassblow Mimic as a secondary land. Here is one of the situations where, again, sometimes I just wish that the Glassblow Mimics were lands. And that's why I don't run the full 4. I know many people run 4 Glasspools and 18 lands. And that's fine. I run 19 lanes and 3 Glasspools. So just going a bit down on the risk factor, I would say. So he plays down Noble Hierarch again. And we're considering to play Ether Vial here. Of course, that's the right play. A Trickster is fine. We draw another one. But we want to draw a land so we can play a Trickster next turn. And he plays Adeline, Resplendent Cathar. A new card that suddenly will one of the 3-drops that's back now. And the 3-drop is actually really overpowered. And now they are ready to go since Lurrus left. Adeline will make him create a 1-1 each turn when he attacks, and it will get gradually bigger. Unlucky for us, we don't draw a land, which means that we can't play the Trickster this turn. It would be nice to be able to tap it down. So we can't do anything. We just have to pass. Lieutenant, which means that now he can buff up his Adeline. He can attack for a 4-5. Ouch. A 5-6, I mean, because it's Exalted and the 1-1 human token. Good little interaction there, that the Exalted trigger works on the Adeline, even though the human token he gets is tapped and attacking. We get out the Ether Vial. Tight here, but not interesting. We wanted to draw a land here, and we don't even have a really good way of getting it in. So the thinking here is that if he attacks with Adeline he will probably also attack with the human token. And if he does that, he won't have Exalted. If he doesn't have Exalted, we can Trickster down the Resplendent, which means that it will only have 1 power and not 5 power, and it still have 5 in defense. But because we will Trickster it down, we can also either Vile Master in, and then we have 5 points of power, and then we can kill off the Adeline. So I actually think that we have an interesting way of attacking this situation if he doesn't have anything. That would of course be required that he doesn't play humans pre-combat and stuff like that. But I think it's still correct just to pass and see what happens. And if anything else happens that we need to account for, we can just double Trickster instead if we want to do that instead. Unlucky for us, he plays another Tireless Lieutenant, which means that he'll put counters again on his creatures. And now the Adeline is becoming too big, and this is what the human decks do. They just amass a lot of counters on the creatures, and they will outbeat us in our fist fight against these humans. We will get beaten because they will have so many counters on, and suddenly it's a 7/6 and a 4/4. We can't take that much damage, so we Trickster down the Adeline. And he'll attack with these two. And because he attacks with the 2/2, we can make our Trickster into a blocker for 3/3. And that's really good. And we can take off one of the tokens. It's a small value engine. Unlucky for us, he does have a Dismember and can take off the Lord, which means that he cleans our board. Now it's looking really rough. Good play by him. And Dismember is showing its strength once again. We take up the Vial. Need to draw land now. Okay, so we need to take up the Vial simply because we need to have more pressure. We need to be sure that we draw a Svaelun. The good thing about drawing the land is that by playing the Tideshipper, even though it's just a 1/1, playing the Trickster will have us will make sure we have 2 Merfolks in play, and the Svaelun will be indestructible. So we have a little chance here to get back in the game. He plays Deputy. Deputy, okay, what can we do here? He targets either Vial. And we can respond, we can use either Vial to put in Svaelun. So not that bad, not that bad. In this situation, this is still too big a creature. We need to tap that one down, and now we really don't have attacks. And we are considering here, actually, if you draw a couple of lucky cards in a row, maybe we're in it. Maybe we can get a change here. We draw another Svaelun, which is, of course, not good in this situation. Draw a Lord. This is simply because we need to have to find something. We are so far behind, and we choose to attack with Svaelun because we could replay a Svaelun. But replaying a Svaelun is also not that interesting. Then we'll just be able to block the Adeline with that, and then there's still a 4/4 we need to handle. But I don't know what's correct here. This is actually a tough situation. I think no matter what we do, we are under pressure. The Tireless Lieutenant is big. He still has 3 cards in hand. So either we can play the Svaelun, which gives us a good blocker, but he would still have a 4/4 and potentially a 5/5 beating in around the Svaelun. Alternatively, we can play the Lord, which gives us a big bet of blocks, and then we can just chump the Adeline. And alternatively on that, we can just play the Skydiver as a jump blocker, hoping to draw some action next turn. The best thing would be to draw an Adept into a Trickster or something like that. But we already used 2 of our Tricksters. So it's looking bleak here. He's way ahead. He plays a Imperial Recruiter. He got double trigger from his 2 Lieutenant. You can see with one of the big reasons why this tough matchup is that our removal is so subpar. And if he just gets to do this, and we are not faster than him, we can't do anything about these giant creatures. So it is not good. We can jump here, we can jump there, but yeah, it's not good. Draw a land. Yeah. Let's get on with it. So 2/2, and we get to play our final game. Let's see if we can salvage the league and get a decent round out. And this next game is really, really nice. Really cool. Now we finally get to fight the dragon. I promised early on that we wanted to beat up Murktide, the big bad wolf of the format. I think Murktide is well positioned. It's the deck that got the least changes because it didn't utilize Lurrus. It was only playing great cards in the Izzet colors, and because of Murktide, it couldn't really play Lurrus no matter what. So it's still playing all the same cards, and it's also playing Dragon Bridge Challengers, Mishra's Bauble, and all that sort of thing. We don't know here what we're playing against yet. So we play down the Glasspool Mimic. This is a fine hand we have here. And he plays that Ragavan. So, Ragavan, okay, interesting. Notice that he has a mana up, so he can Lightning Bolt something. So, we're considering what should we play here. If we play we can either play Adept or Trickster. Those are the two things we are considering. If we play the Adept, we can draw another card, we can have a blocker, but he can easily just sacrifice his Scalding Tarn, find a mountain, or Steel Vents or something, and shoot and remove the Adept with Lightning Bolt, leaving us vulnerable. So the alternative play is to play down Otavara as a blue source instead of the Mutavault as a land for Adept, and then play Trickster. But we can play Trickster and upkeep, and I've been doing that play a lot, but there's actually an alternative interesting play. When he attack, we don't really care about the life that much. When he attack, we can play that Trickster, targeting Ragavan. This means that unless he can exactly have counterspell, which would be annoying, but he has a removal spell, well, in that situation, if he has a removal spell, his Ragavan will have no abilities, so it would just be a 2-1. So I actually like this play. He puts down another land, he attacks in, we play down the Trickster, targeting the Ragavan. So what happens? He has the Lightning Bolt, it's exactly as we drew up, and now we take 2 damage. But no Ragavan trigger, because the Trickster made sure that was not in there. So I actually really like that play. Now we can choose to go for Svealoom play to optimize our play out. We can also just play an Adept, which is really be a good blocker. Problem with playing Svealoom in this spot is that it would be too risky. But it could be argued that in that situation. Okay, so Murktide enters the exile zone. He attacks in. He provides the trade, and we're really happy about that trade, of course. The reason why we're considering what to do here is that by him trading, he gets to play Murktide. So the dragon is in. Let's fight the dragon. 5/5 Murktide, pretty nasty. It's a good creature. Because the goblin, the monkey, the Ragavan monkey would have because when it hit to the graveyard, that would be his last card. But if he let the hit happen, he would just get the treasure token, and then he could still play the Murktide. So no matter what we did with that attack, we would be facing down a Murktide, and then it would be better to get the Ragavan off the board. He plays Express Federation. We just bought out, by the way, Adept into Tidechipper, not managing to find land. A bit awkward. But we're still boarding out here. He's putting us down to 13, and he's Lightning Bolt on the Tidechipper. And now he puts down another Ragavan. So it's a good draw, Murktide here, and you can see this is a great deck. Notice how much power they have, how many great removal spells and value angels like Iteration, big creatures like Murktide. We're still not finding luck with drawing a land. We try to attack in, and now we play down Svealoom. We need to do something here. He puts down Consider, and the dragon is looking strong. Now he can even Unholy Heat the Svealoom, and we are far behind. He can even Ragavan, and he can even put his another Murktide in, and we say, okay, bro, that was a good draw, sir. You got us. Well played by our opponent, Jackie Brown. Well done. Good movie as well, straight out of the 90s. So we wanted to get our Brazen Burrows in because they can bounce the Murktide. I think in Murktide matchup, all bounce effects are great because bouncing the Murktide back to hand, it will be harder to cast it again as the graveyard is thinning out. The relics is also good because we can make him not be able to cast Murktide, and because it played Dragon Rage Channeler as well, we also have the option, and Unholy Heat of course. So relic is just really good. We're playing down the Ether Vial on turn 1, great Great to have that. A bit of an iffy hand again, being a bit punished for the Glassbloom Mimics. And he has a great hand, being able to both play Bobble and Ragavan. We do drew the Dismember, and this is actually a key change to a really good draw to have, and we're considering should we play it now, should we kill it now, or kill it in his turn. Dismember is great, we want to get off the Ragavan, but killing it now means that he can dash in a Ragavan his turn, but how good is that even? He can't really play anything crazy like a Svelun, and he could have a counterspell, but the consideration is, are they really keeping counterspell in versus Merfolk? I don't think they are, but back and forth. But I think in the overall scheme of things, I think it's better just to get it off the ground now. And if he has one more, he can dash in. Then that's just how it is. So he has Dragon Rage Channeler. We can take our Ether Vial up. Now we're at the Magic 2. And we want to find a land so we can keep boarding out. So we use the Vial to get in the Adept. We draw Brazen Borrow. Not a land, but it's really, really good anyways. And we now like that we have both Brazen Borrow, the Petty Theft part of it up, and the Trickster up. So I like our position, even though we want to draw a land at that point. We pass the turn to him. He's nearing in on Delirium, and he uses Unholy Heat on the Adept. So he's going for his Delirium. And now his Dragon Rage Channeler is a 3/3. He plays a land and attacks. So, interesting situation. Of course, he's going to attack here, but we're going for the Trickster play. Make it a 1/1. This is where I love Trickster and blocking. Yeah, he could have had a counterspell, of course, but and he could also have a removal spell. He doesn't. He only has the Archmage Charm that he can't really use for that much. He take the Ether Vial. He could have, of course, countered the Trickster. I don't know if he thinks that's better, but I think he was scared about the Ether Vial. Anyway, we play down the Kira. I think that situation, maybe he should just have countered the Trickster. It seems like crazy not to do that. Anyway, we get down the Kira. This is great against him. The one of Miser Spice Kira we have. And he needs to find a solution fast. Also, Ether Vial on his side is not interesting. I know he takes it off us, and it's good for us, of course. But he needs to go all the way up to 6 mana to be able to cast something off the Ether Vial, and that's the Murktide Regent, which he can cast anyways. Anyway, he do have the Murktide. So the dragon is back. Let's fight the dragon. Fish versus dragon. Let's go. That's a good play by him. We have the Salty, but we also have the Brazen Borrower. We immediately Brazen Borrower, and we can go in for 4 damage. And Salty was a great draw because now we have the Salty to do something about his Murktide. And notice the graveyard is thinning out because he has to use it to play down his Murktide. He taps out, exiles his graveyard, and we can Murktide. And here Salty is great. We have 2 Svelun, so removing 1 doesn't really matter. And he chooses to put the Murktide Regent on bottom, of course, because his graveyard it's totally empty at this moment, so Murktide Regent is not even a good card. And now we can play the Svelun down with a Kira Shield on it. Okay, but he has 4 cards in hand. Let's see what happens. He just passes. A bit scary, but we have a good board. We don't want to play at the Relic here because we want to use the Brazen Borrower from exile. He used the Ether Vial. And he can actually Ether Vial in Fury. So there was one more card he could use. But again, the Kira Shield means that we are safe here. And he can't really do that much crazy stuff here. Because the Kira Shield will make sure that he can't hit us. And he also needs to pay the War Tracker. We wait for his triggers to clear. And then we can use the Trickster to step down the Fury. So Trickster was a good draw. So he has no blockers. But he mystically disputes the Trickster. Well played, sir. Jacob Brown, you're doing well, sir. And now he gets to trade with the Svelun. But he's still dead. Okay. Not much I want to do differently. I think Kira is still great, Solities are great. We want to have the Brazen Borrower in there. I think it's fine, all of this. Tide Shapers, you could argue with those, but they're just, 7 lines that can be buffed by Lords, and that's also fine. We have Starting Hand, that's good. We have the Ether Vial, we have the Cavern. This game is interesting. This is really cool. We start with the Ether Vial and he uses Spell Pierce. No! Why is he playing Spell Pierce against us? We didn't figure that one out. Maybe it's against the Relics and the Petty Theft, but yeah, pretty crazy. He plays the Ragavan. And now in our turn, again, the same situation we always are in, but I don't like Petty Thefting the Ragavan in a big in combat step. So in this situation, I think we just need to bite the apple and put down the Cavern. And put down the Silvergate Adept, and hopefully he will have no way of removing it. He has only 3 cards in hand, so we have a chance on that. But I actually like this play instead. The reason why this is a good play is that it'll keep him off Delirium fast, and the Tide Shaper in this situation is a fine little 1-1, a fine little 2-2 as a blocker. So instead of the Adept now, because he had the removal spell anyways, now we get the Relic going, and the Relic needs to get going as fast as possible, because cracking the Relic is not as interesting as attacking with it. He finds the Lord of Atlantis with Ragavan, which is cool. Notice that I started out one Master, not a Lord, because the Lords would also give all our Merfolks +1/+1 and Island Walk, so by playing that Lord, he will get all our creatures a big boost. And he's afraid of that, so I can totally understand why. We don't draw a land, so now it's time to get the Adept in play. And we find a land, that's fine. It's not the right land, but it's a land, and the Relic will do its thing. It'll keep the graveyard down. The problem with the Relic is that if it's sitting on hand and you just want to play it to sacrifice it, then it's a lot worse than having it sitting there and maintaining his graveyard, because these Murktide decks, they can just fill up the graveyard so fast. Notice here, he already have 3 cards in the graveyard just in his end step. So the Delirium will come back. And notice here, I think he can get the Dragon Range Channeler up to Delirium already when he plays that one. So you can see now, because of the artifact, it's like we had him down on 0 cards in graveyard, and now suddenly he has Delirium. So that's why the Relic is good, because it can have it be down there. Weird play that he attacks here after letting 2 Ragavans go into the graveyard. So in this situation, he didn't play a Murktide. We don't really know what's going on. We can just start by exiling a card, but I think the right play now is we need to use the Relic at this moment. So we can play down the Master with the Cavern, so he can't counter it. But we're considering the Relic, should we just crack it here, so he can't play his Murktide? I think that's a good play. Otherwise, we can just use Brazen Borrow on the Murktide. So we're back and forth on this, but I actually think maybe it's correct just to say, let's wait on the Relic, even though it's a bit scary. And now we can also, he can't really attack now, because he had the Relic, and also he needs to attack. But we wanted to get the Relic down because the Murktide is too big a threat. And the good play here is to use it in upkeep. So he cracks his fetch land, and we can remove that as well. He shoots with Unholy Heat the Master, and hits us down for 1 and passes the turn. We do have the Subtlety up. Okay, drawing the Ether Vial, a bit late, but could be an interesting card here. And we're not really that stressed about the Dragon Range Channeler. So we play down the Lord and the Vial. And we have the Subtlety up here. He plays another Dragon Range Channeler. Don't want to really Subtlety that one. It's just a 1/1 at this moment. He's only 2 cards in hand. Okay, good situation now, because we also can hardcast the Subtlety now, and that's actually what we really wanted to be able to do. By playing the island here, we also have the option of Brazen Borrower and Petty Theft in the same turn. So Petty Theft and then Brazen Borrower from the Exile Zone. And here we're considering, should we attack here? He knows we can't Trickster in a Lord, so it will just be offering the trade. He can't really get Delirium at this moment, so I think it's correct to do the attack. To say, do you want to give us a 2-for-1? He chooses to take the damage. And we pass the turn to him. So of course in his turn, because his deck is optimized for this, he can do a lot of things regarding Delirium. He starts by playing Engineered Explosives on 2. And notice here, he puts it on the top of his library. So he actually is whiffing on his own to surveil activities, which I think is interesting. So the card on top must be really, really good. And he just passed the turn now. He's afraid of us doing something. And we can then Petty Theft and Brazen Borrower just to get a bit of value and get a bit of pressure. And it also, the Engineering Explosives won't be able to hit the Brazen Borrower. Unfortunately, he does have a Mystical Dispute. But that's still fine. We're still up a card, or a half a card at least. Okay, Adept, good draw. But the problem is that if we play that, he can Engineer Explosive his own turn for 2. So we just want to hit in for 2 and then pass the turn, holding up Subtlety. We do know he has a Dragon Rage Channeler. He doesn't have that many cards. He puts Murktide Regent in his graveyard. Okay, interesting. Plays a land. And now his Dragon Rage Channeler is up and running as a 3/3. Considering here, should we just play Salty and trade? But I think in this situation, it's okay to take the 3 damage. He still needs to tap out for his Engineer Explosive, so he needs to use 2 mana on that, and he has used all his mana. So now he plays his Dragon Rage Channeler, and now it's the time we should get our value and get the Salty. We want to have that come in as well. So let's just play it down. But well played by Jacob Brown here. He actually used the Dragon Rage Channel as a bit of a bait. And he can get the Murktide Regent in. Because there was one more dragon. The last dragon is there. A 7/7 flyer. Okay, we need to get moving. And we play down Adept. And we find the Trickster. And notice here, he's actually on 10. He's on 10 damage. And we have a Lord. And we have a Trickster. Just doing the math in our head, we can tap down the Regent, so it would be off. He has no mana to do the Engineer Explosives. This is looking really good. We tap it down, we play the Lord, and that will actually give us exactly 10 points of damage, which is exactly lethal. And we got the dragon out of the game. So really, really cool. We had another decent run, I would say, for this time around. There was a lot of crazy decks running around out there. We had a lot of brews playing, but it was fun to see what people were doing with the Dice Factory and the Mono Black stuff, and even playing Scapeshift. But I still think this deck is interesting. The correct way of setting it up is somewhere around here, and then this is the flex spots. I do like the subtleties at the moment, but the force negations are also pretty good. Also, I wanted to say thank you, guys, for subscribing to my channel. I yesterday reached 100 subscribers, so really, really nice. I'm really glad about that, which means that I get some advances on YouTube. So thank you for following, and if you like this video as well, remember to like the video, and if you haven't subscribed already, do that, because I'll be putting out more content. For now, I'll say have a great evening or day or wherever you are in the world, and see you next time for more Merfolk action here from Draco's fun little funhouse. So take care, guys, and if you want to check out more, I will put a link here or somewhere where you can check out the full trophy run we did a couple of days ago. Bye bye now.